Welcome, pool guys and gals, to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast, where your host, Lauren Broom, will take a splash into many topics in the pool industry to educate all aquatic professionals. Listen in, and you just might be surprised what you'll learn. So let's jump right in.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And on today's episode, I interviewed Dave Sargent, president of Riptide, and Matt Lopez, the vice president of Riptide Pool Vacuums. So we're going to talk about the Riptide Pool Vacuum and all the neat things it has to offer to the pool service technician and lots of other goodies in there. I also want to throw out there that if you want to come say hi to me and be on the live podcast of Let's Talk About Pools podcast, come visit me at the Skimmer booth 1221 at the Everything Under the Sun show on March 4th, which is a Friday, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. You can come say hi. You could have a discussion with me, whatever we want to do. You can be on the podcast and say hi to my podcast sponsor, Skimmer, who happens to be one of my big podcast sponsors for this episode today. So I also want to say thank you for being a continued sponsor of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast, Skimmer. And please listen in to what they have to offer to the pool industry. And hopefully I'll see some of you at the live hosting of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast in Orlando, Friday, March 4th, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at booth 1221, the Skimmer booth. Thank you guys, and let's jump right in.
This is Skimmer, software for the modern pool professional. What can you do with Skimmer? See all your customers on a map, build service routes quickly, and let Skimmer optimize them for you. Access customer information, including contact details and full service history, anytime and anywhere. Customize work orders to track jobs like repairs and filter cleanings. Email your customers when you complete a service. You can include service details and on-site photos. Does your customer need a part? Add it to the shopping list and track it from purchase to installation. Skimmer will even remind you what parts you need for the day, and you can mark them as installed right when you're finished. Skimmer doesn't just store your service history. It helps you get paid. We integrate with QuickBooks Online for fast, easy invoicing. And we've got more billing options coming soon. All that's just the beginning. Go to getskimmer.com to watch our demo video, check out our online tutorials, and see if Skimmer is right for you.
Welcome today to Let's Talk About Pools. And on my podcast today, my two guests on with me today is David Sargent and Matt Lopez, owners of Riptide Pool Vacuum System. Welcome today, guys. How are you?
Hi, Lauren. Thank you for having us.
Hey. Nice
Hey,
to be
Matt.
on.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
So I've been looking forward to having you guys on this podcast. I see your Riptide Pool Vacuum Systems at the Orlando Everything Under the Sun Florida Swimming Pool Association pool show every year. And what a beautiful pool vacuum system it is when it's on the trade show floor.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, we take pride in doing it the best we can. And you've always been a pleasure. You know, if I remember from the beginning doing these trade shows, there's a few faces that we remember, and it's always been a pleasure to have the people that came in and accepted us and started working with us and taking us seriously from the start. And you were always one of those faces.
Well, I always have to come over and say hi to Eric Taylor with Chlorine King that loves Riptide as well.
Yeah,
Yep,
he was involved with us for a long time now, and he's always been a pleasure to deal with too.
He's got some very good videos as well, but he's one of your big supporters, and I can see why. So tell me about yourselves and your company and that kind of thing.
Basically, we came from designing product and working in a similar industry with regards to the service industry, and identified this product as something that needed some major improvements. And that's what we did. We actually set out to solve the problems that were existing with other cleaners on the market. And the main thing, honestly, it's not that they didn't do a good job. It was more build quality we were going after. We were looking to build a true commercial quality unit. We were not willing to compromise. And since its inception, the unit has been incredibly good with a few flaws, things that we had to perfect, things that we had to get to the bottom of it and make better and better. And I think one of the most important things we always did was stand behind the customer. And if there was an issue, we admit to it immediately and we start working on the improvements. And probably one of the biggest things we've ever had to deal with was early on, the plugs that we were using were a disaster, but nothing existed in the marketplace to do a good plug-in vacuum. So we actually developed our own plug, and that was essential in the development of the Riptide and making it what it is today. And it's totally unique plug. It's just a one component on this thing, but that's probably another one of our major strengths is we design everything in-house. So if there's anything that isn't quite right, we can jump into it and keep working it until it's perfected.
So how long has Riptide Pool Vacuum System been in the industry?
Going on 4 years now. That sounds right.
Going on 5.
Time goes by so fast.
Going on 5 now.
These days.
About 4.5 years at this point.
Yeah.
And you've
hard to keep track sometimes.
You've made real inroads in where they're being sent off to. You're selling these internationally as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we're selling internationally now, and we just sent a unit off to Switzerland and the UK the other day. And it's got units in Vietnam and Greece and Australia and Spain, all over the world at this point, which is it's cool. It's nice knowing your product is used all over the world. It's a cool feeling.
But you're based right out of my great state of Florida, correct?
Yep.
Yes, we're in West Palm Beach, Florida. Nice and sunny today.
Yes, it is. Although we've had some rain recently.
Yes.
And one of the things that you mentioned, David, that I really liked that you said was, admitting when there was a flaw or something that was wrong. A lot of companies are not willing to do that. And the honesty there is very captivating. And that you're willing to, hear from people and then you figure out how to fix the problem. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, right?
No, that's true, except Riptide is now.
But that's because you listen to your customers or you listen to the issues that were happening without, saying, no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect the way it is.
Well, you know what's funny, Lauren, is in capping on that is you kind of bare your soul when you put a product out there. This is your baby. You put all your life savings into a new concept, a new design. You literally have to make it work, or you're just going to lose everything you ever did work for prior to that moment. So you get a lot on the line. And one thing that was not going to sit with us from the start was we had identified this nonsense that goes on in the industry where just nobody ever, just like you're saying, ever admits to, and it's not really in the industry either. It's probably in life, but they just don't admit to it.
It's not limited to the pool industry. It's any company you deal with, they don't want to listen to you anymore. We just didn't want to be that company.
So so it's something that you have to adopt from day one. And we've done a lot of really innovative, cool things too. So we actually at this point have developed a high torque motor. I think, I'm not positive, to be honest with you, because I'm not embedded in anybody else's system, but I don't think anybody else has ever done that. So we actually took the unit, took the motor, used rare earth magnets and built it out, changed the armature, doubled the brush size, just doing everything in our power to make the motors last the best it can possibly last. And in the process, just made the motor function the best it possibly can. And we did it by optimizing it in use in this vacuum housing and doing all of our tests. We did probably 20 different test windings on the armature inside these motors until we just got to the point where it was running the most optimally it could and performing the best it possibly could inside these vacuum cases. Because really the industry has always just taken off the shelf motors and stuck them in there, and they are what they are. So I think it's kind of cool that we're the first ones to take that to a new level and really optimize these motors for use in the vacuums.
You made an innovation.
Yeah, made an innovation.
So why did you start Riptide Pool Vacuum System?
I used to maintain another brand for my ex-wife, and it was kind of insulting when certain parts would fail, and you have to go out and buy these things, and they were failing only because of the design and process that was used to make them. Again, failure to live up into and admit to the problem. So things like the vacuum case was breaking down constantly, and we would have to. I remember the first time I ever went out to buy these cases. I go up and I'm thinking, what can they be? $50, something like that. So I go to buy them, and they tell me $450, and I would just, my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe that anybody would try to charge that kind of money for a chunk of plastic. So, and for that reason, in the process of developing the Riptide, we actually offer a 10-year warranty on our vacuum case.
Wow. That's
we've had people do crazy things and actually break them, like backing over them with their pickup trucks, and we still warranty them. They're having a bad day. It's not a big deal for us to help them out at that moment.
All kinds of things that can happen out there.
There really are.
And we've seen a lot of it. So,
well, what makes the Riptide unique?
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that truly make it unique. Probably the most important thing we do with regards to truly making it unique, making it true commercial quality, is we don't rely on any off-the-shelf parts. We design and manufacture virtually everything. So we have the vacuum case itself, which it's very thick. It's the right kind of plastic to be out in the sun all day. Every
has a 10-year warranty.
We do the 10-year warranty. So if somebody does break one, crack it somehow, it's not a big deal. Just switch the parts out into the new case. We do things like ceramic ball bearings in the wheels. We're the first ones, I believe, the only ones to ever use actual ball bearings in the wheels at all, because I guess because it's in the water, so everybody uses a bushing style or just puts a shaft through the wheel, and they wear out incredibly quickly. They're very floppy, and it's really not a good design. So we do ceramic ball bearings, which are impervious to water, chemical. We have our original units are out there. You can walk up to any one of them and spin the wheels. They're just like the wheels on a skateboard at this point in time.
Wow.
Do the locking bag ring. So the bag has a locking ring on the bag, sewn onto the bag. So we guarantee that bag will never blow off in the pool. Very easy to put on and take off. And, as you know, if you have a bag full of debris and it blows off when you're vacuuming, it's all in the water column now, and you have to wait for it to settle. So it could ruin your day. So anything like that, we try to take everything here to the next level, something that hasn't been done before. We're always trying to improve and make everything as best as it can be. So I think that really separates us from everybody else.
Yeah.
One early on, the first trade show in Orlando that we ever did, everybody kept coming up and pulling the impeller off of our unit, and they kept saying, "Did you do anything to solve this problem?" That's all they would say, and we didn't even know what the problem really was. So what happens in the industry is hair and stringy debris wraps on the shaft of the motor, and if it's not cleaned enough or often enough, then it will drive down inside the seals and just wipe the motors out. And we saw some motors get ruined early on. It was after that trade show, probably within 2-3 months, we saw these motors getting ruined that way. And we'd pull the impeller off, and they would just be a bird's nest of crap inside there. So we developed what we call a debris guard, and it totally protects the motor from this problem. You should pull it off and clean it and check it from time to time, but it wraps on the outside of this thing instead of on the shaft of the motor, so it protects the motor against this problem. And I was kind of proud of the fact that we actually solved that problem. So here we were in the industry for only probably 3 months and identified it as a real problem. And really the customers helped us to realize what a big problem it was. But we came up with the first ones in several decades of these kinds of units being on the road to come up with a real solution to that problem.
That's really unique that you guys do that. Like somebody identifies, oh, did you fix this problem? And then you did,
Yeah.
And that's listening to the customers that are coming up, potential customers at a trade show. I mean, that.
Yep, absolutely. And with that particular component, we actually with the patents that are there's already patents issued on using it on a vacuum cleaner, but it might even find its way into the trolling motor industry because it's so effective. So we're actually putting a patent together for use on trolling motors now.
So how does your pool vacuum help the pool tech, the people listening to my podcast today?
Really, at this point, it's doing what they expect of the vacuum like this. It's just doing it a little bit better at this point because of the fact that the motor has been improved, the fact that it does have things like ceramic ball bearings and the cases aren't breaking down every year and having to be replaced. And so those things, of course, are always helpful. And as far as, obviously, these things are a mechanical thing. They are going to break. And when it does come time to repair them, it is literally, so we took the need to repair and do maintenance on these things very seriously. We have to be able to do it fast and easy. So when it comes to something like, let's say a customer comes to our shop, anybody that buys a Riptide and they're local enough, they can come in here. We've never even charged for any repairs at this point, but we can do that because it doesn't take very long. So if somebody needs a new motor, for instance, it takes about 5 minutes for us to drop one in to a vacuum head. New cord, same thing, super easy to change, do everything. Even the control panel on our carts, it's designed so that there's just 2 bolts that hold it on. We sell the whole unit complete. It's already pre-wired. It has it holds the switch, everything is right there. So those 2 bolts, the whole unit comes off. They put a brand new one on. It takes about 2 minutes, hook it up to a battery, and that's it. Everything that runs the unit is brand spanking new on that cart.
It does the Riptide vacuum work off of like a marine battery?
Yep, a deep cycle marine battery. So it's all self-contained. You don't have, you had asked, how does it help the pool tech? Well, if you're not accustomed to using this class of cleaner, say you're still doing it the old fashioned way, the manual pool vacuum, running it through the customer's filter. I mean, it's the time savings there that you're going to experience when you switch over to our system is, substantial. It's going to cut your cleaning times in half, literally. It's always nice to get a call from a customer who wasn't using, this class of cleaner before, and they were doing it the old fashioned way. And then they make the switch. And they call and they're like, oh my God, I don't know how I was doing it for 2 or 3 years, without your system. I'm saving so much time now. And that's cool. It's nice to know that our product's out there, and it's actually, for them now, they're cleaning pools faster, so they've got more time for repairs, or they can take on more pools on their route. They can go from 15 pools to 30 pools, or they can literally double the amount of pools that they do. So and that goes more into what Dave was saying about the ease of repairing these. Is you'll become so reliant on it that we understand that you can't afford any downtime with it, because it's a cascading failure. If you go back to having to manually vacuum pools, you still have the same amount of pools to vacuum. You're just doing them in half the time, and there's only so much time in the day. So you're not able to do it. So it's a big benefit for anybody out there that's manually vacuuming the pool. So the amount of time savings, you're not really able to compete.
That's a great point Matt brings up. So these guys become so reliant on these things. They become so much more productive that if the unit is down, there's no way they can get through their workday. So they go into panic mode if it breaks. And that's one of the reasons we have made a conscious decision to not use distribution. Because when you use distribution and we become removed from the equation with communication to the customer, then all kinds of crazy things happen and you don't get good information to the customer. Any customer that calls our place is going to get real information. If they need a part, they can have it the next day. Doesn't matter where they are. And this is just stuff that we learned it's really the best way to deal with customers and make sure that they have what they need when they need it. Anybody that orders a Riptide, they're buying it directly from us. We automatically have a record of the sale, and therefore the warranty is always seamless. Everything becomes so stress-free and easy for us to deal with the customers this way.
Hey, listeners, short intermission here for my other podcast sponsor, wonderful podcast sponsor, Basecrete, flexible waterproof bond coat for concrete swimming pools. Vito Mariano, wonderful gentleman to talk to. If you ever need to know anything about concrete with swimming pools, suspended swimming pools, or you want to talk to him about his product, you can find them at basecreteusa.com. And he is all over social media as well. Wonderful company. Please check them out. And thank you again for sponsoring this episode of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast.
So the bags that attach to the pool vacuum that the pool tech would be using, talk to me about those a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up again. Actually, there's a lot of things that we have done to innovate on those as well. And so early on, the bags would last some people like 8 months, which seemed exceptional. Other people would get like 2 pools out of them and they'd tear them up. So obviously we had to bring these numbers a little closer together. And at this point, what we've done is we put a real heavy net on the outside of the bag, similar to the leaf rakes that people have done in the industry. And we learned that simply moving the seam to the outside of the bag makes a world of difference with regards to the longevity of these bags. So now we see these bags consistently lasting people 6+ months in the industry.
Wow.
And I've seen them lasting over a year at this point even, which is obviously people that really take care of it and everything else because it's still cloth. But that said, the bags have been phenomenal. We don't have any complaints on them anymore.
Wow.
And on top of that, because it will never blow off, we can run really any micron we want. Of course, it doesn't mean the bags can do everything. There is a limitation to what these vacuums can do with regards to the stuff that they'll vacuum up. So you're not going to vacuum algae only because it gets stuck on the inside of the bags and turns them into, they're no longer porous. The water can't flow through. And if the water can't flow through the bag, they cannot clean. We do have a heavy net bag that will allow, it's the same net actually that we use to protect all the filtering cloth on all the double layer bags. But we have the heavy net bag, and that's really the only way that you can vacuum a pool that is green and has a lot of or any algae in it. So the algae will blow through the bag and then vacuum all the big stuff out, and you can vacuum the algae to waste with just a pump.
Nice. And you talked about the marine battery that it runs on. If that's fully charged, how long does that last?
Well, there's different sizes of batteries, so people can select. And really, the only reason for not just going for the biggest one on the market would be weight. So the batteries can become very, very heavy, anywhere from like 35 pounds to 70 pounds or something like that.
Wow.
And the Riptide cart will accommodate all of those. The XP model with the handheld battery box can only use the 35 amp hour. There is a game changer coming though. So these lithium batteries are hitting the market. They're getting to a point where when you consider the warranty and everything, the cost is actually very reasonable. And we're learning that there's a huge potential upside to using them. So there's actually several potential upsides. The weight is ridiculously light. They are a battery, and we've got some. We've bought several, and we're putting them in the market out there, testing them. A battery that weighs, so one customer we have is doing like 30-something pools a day, and he was using either Group 29 or Group 31 battery. So it's a very, very large battery. I believe they're up around 70 pounds. And he felt he needed that to get through his day. So we got him a 54 amp hour lithium battery to test for us. And it weighs 15 pounds. It's so light that we actually have a special provision on the Riptide to be able to move the axle back. And then we have an adjustable handlebar, which is necessary when you get into a battery that's so light. Otherwise, you're going to have an unbalanced cart that makes it kind of obnoxious to use. But with that adjustment, we're able to get a perfect balance even with these super light batteries. But the interesting thing when he started doing this test on the battery is he said that when he starts his route in the morning, his first pull of the day, the battery is obviously very charged and it's running super strong. But the interesting part is he said now with this battery versus a lead acid battery, the last pull of the day, it's running just as strong as the first pull of the day.
And that's on the lithium battery?
That's on a little lithium 54 amp hour battery. And that's after doing 30, I think it was 32 pulls he's doing in a day.
And this is, if you came out with this would be would this be the first pool vacuum?
Well, we don't have any intentions of being in the battery business. People would have to just buy the batteries themselves.
But it's something that you would be able to advise to a pool tech that's buying a Riptide, that they had the choice of getting a lithium battery once you've tested it and you know it works well.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're trying to do right now. Is we're just doing tests with several different brands. We just want to be able to share the knowledge with people that we gain, and then hopefully endorse a particular brand.
Nice. So that's a new thing. That's new technology integrating with your pool vacuum system. That's cool.
Yeah. The lithium ion batteries they've been around for a long time now, but they were so ridiculously expensive. And they are, at face value, they're still expensive. It's like for that 54 amp hour battery, it's like $500. It includes a charger. So it has to provide some real benefits. And one of them, and one of the most important when you talk that kind of money, is it has a very long warranty, like 10 years.
Well, and the pool vacuum is going to be a little bit lighter.
It's going to be significantly lighter.
Yeah, the whole cart.
Total game changer. See, we're not willing to compromise the quality of the cart or the vacuum or anything else for a couple of pounds. However, when you're talking a massive difference like a battery, and you now have performance enhancements instead of decreases, then it's nothing but positives.
Well, and that's a positive for the pool tech, because they're dealing with a heavy cart and they got to take it to somebody's backyard through a fence, deal with a dog while they're trying to carry the cart. If it's a lot lighter, they're going to be able to get from pool to pool quicker. And it's going to be a lot less impactful on their body as well. Trying to move something around that's heavier. So that's a big game changer. That's cool.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how this develops. It's something that we've actually, so what happened with everybody that has used one of our batteries that we've purchased just for testing, immediately they order one.
I would, if it was me, I'd be looking for something lighter too.
Yeah. I was surprised though that they didn't care about it. It was such a huge difference that they didn't care about the price. They just literally said, doesn't matter.
And while we're talking about the battery and we brought up the weight of the cart with it and everything else, I know you guys have the trailer hitch thing, they put it on the back of their truck or the back of their trailer.
We call it a transport rack, but yes,
transport rack. Let's talk about the transport rack.
It's all included with the SL model. So anytime somebody buys that unit, it is included with it. And probably the unique thing about that is we've designed this product so that one of the reasons we can sell direct like we do is it's designed so that it ships UPS, and it's very cost effective to get it anywhere in the country.
Nice. So are there any situations you wouldn't use the Riptide system for?
Well, like I stated earlier, so you can use it to vacuum a pool full of algae, but you have to do it a certain way. You have to use the heavy net bag so the algae actually flows through it. So you're not going to use it to remove algae. The only way you're going to remove the algae is after you get the idea being get the big debris removed, and now there's nothing in the pool to plug your vacuum hose while you're vacuuming to waste. So that's probably the only thing you can't use it for is removing algae from a pool.
And I know we talked about a couple of cool things already. Is there anything else new or cool on the horizon for Riptide? Any other product lines that you guys are dealing with in the pool industry? Anything you're willing to talk about or can talk about?
One thing we've been considering, and I don't know, so far we haven't done it. So we talk about the algae, and people have asked us to do a pump on a cart that will lock into our transport rack. So they could either put a T-bar on it and have both pumps with them if they want to, or they could just take one or the other depending on how their day is designed to work out. And really, it'd be great if your customers could give us some opinion on that if that's something they're interested in. It wouldn't be a difficult thing to do. It would just be a cart designed appropriately for the pump to make it as simple and effective to cart into the backyard as possible. And it would allow them to do that vacuum to waste that we talked about.
What are you allowed to say what material the cart is made out of? I'm sure you looked into it to make sure it was like as light as possible, but able to support.
Absolutely. So our cart is fully aluminum, and with the exception of things obviously like the axle, which is stainless steel, and but everything is aluminum. We're, like I said earlier, so we're not willing to compromise on strength for lightness. So when it comes to the two rods that go into the transport rack, those are solid aluminum rods. We actually see these things get rear-ended every once in a while by cars, and the bar never breaks. Believe it or not, the bar is just, it will bend completely around the transport rack sometimes, but it never breaks, which that blows my mind that how well these things hold up. But so what happens is these things obviously are subjected to really harsh conditions. They're in people's hands all day, every day, a tremendous amount of hours that these things get run. And it's a harsh environment, period. While they're going down the road, they're in this transport rack. Those two rods are essentially responsible for holding the weight of the entire unit all the time for many years as it's hammering and going down the road and vibrating. So you don't want to use anything like a hollow tube there where it's going to wear into that tube and then break the tube. So yeah, we use aluminum for weight, obviously, but then we're not willing to compromise when it comes to a couple of spots that you need that really extreme strength.
And while we're talking about driving and car accidents, so many times I see pool techs have their bottle of muriatic acid and the yellow jug of liquid chlorine in the cart, in the tray of the cart. And that's not a great idea while you're traveling down the road. You should still put it in your back of your truck or in your trailer to make it more secure. So if you do get rear-ended, you don't got acid and chlorine mixing together there part of the car accident. I know you guys never intended it to be done that way. That's just part of what's been seen many times. When you drive around, they just leave it on the cart because they don't want to move it back and forth.
Yeah. And some people don't. Some people are very, very conscientious about all that. But it's like everything in life. Some people are very conscientious. Other people are just, these guys work hard, right? They get in this rush. But you're right. Those things should be pointed out. I know you do your classes and stuff. That's a great thing to point out to them so that they realize the jeopardy that they're putting themselves in or others in, or just that there's a safety factor there.
Occupational safety, but yes, you're right. It's even the people, because you're driving on the road. So making sure, because the pool vacuum's there, but that's not going to really mix any chemicals or anything added to what the accident's going to be already. Well, is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to talk about Riptide?
Oh, I think we covered everything pretty well. You have any ideas, Matt?
Yeah, I think we got everything pretty covered.
Awesome. Well, let's tell the listeners where they can find you on the web or how to contact you if they're interested in a Riptide Pool Vacuum system.
Matt's I think his headset just died or something. So they can go to riptidevac.com and they can place orders right there. If they have questions, they can give us a call at our 800 number, which is on the website. It's 800-735-3029.
They can follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Riptide Vac, or email us at sales@riptidevac.com as well.
And they can Facebook message you, because I know that's how we were communicating.
Yep.
So, and they were very quick on it, guys. So if you're into the Facebook Messenger thing.
Yeah. And if you don't get a message back from on Facebook right away, just drop us an email. Sometimes we don't get the notifications for that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Emails are nice because they come into the office in a manner that there's several of us that can monitor them to make sure that responses happen faster and get taken care of quicker that way.
Well, thank you for being on my podcast today. It was a joy to talk to you guys and about your very unique pool vacuum system called Riptide. And
thank you, Lauren.
And I hope to see you at the pool show next year.
Thanks for diving in today with the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. And feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts so more aquatic professionals like you can learn about the show. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast.